Hi guys, Cool here. Welcome to another episode of Derail Valley. I think we're on episode 12 now, I guess. In the last episode, we basically spent our time building this lovely beauty, this DH4, which is now ours to keep and drive. Absolutely lovely. Right, so we're going to have to put her to work, I think. Unlikely we'll get a decent job out of here, so I probably am going to drive down to the harbour. But first, I think I want to go over to the station office. Because I'd kind of like to unlock some more licenses now. We've got plenty of money. Well, I say we've got plenty of money. The fines can be quite big still. Remember, of course, that because we've got this, our copay doesn't cover us for this, so any damage we do to this thing will be footed by us out of our cash reserves. We're going to be very, very careful, but I think we're ready for some more upgraded licenses now. Maybe multiple concurrent jobs, maybe some hazmat stuff. Let's go and have a look at the station office and see what we can get. Okay, so quick glance at the jobs. Yeah, nothing fantastic. There's nothing even going down to the harbour, is there? So there is a goods factory one, but that's not really enough for what we've got planned. So we've cleared the fees. Let's have a look at the licenses. We've got plenty of them. The main one that we're missing really is, well, this one here, concurrent 2. I just print that out. That's the main one we're missing. That is going to give us 10 grand copay bump, which we don't care about, and the bonus deadline will come down 5%, so it means we've got to do things a bit quicker. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. We're going to get that one. The next one we need is... It's not worth getting the D6 yet. We'll have to save up some more cash for that. But the Hazmat 1... Let's have a look at Hazmat 1. Hazmat 1 and Hazmat 2. Now, they would set us back 170 grand between them. And that would bump up the copay significantly. So you can see, you know, the copay goes up 38 there, it goes up 150. Like, you're getting into serious territory at this point. Never mind the cost of the license. It's a 5, 9, 13% drop in the deadline. So how long we've got. And a huge bump in the copay. That I'm not really bothered about the copay anymore. We are going to be manually servicing everything from now on. We'll have to leave Hazmat 3 for later, because obviously it's a lot of money and it would clean us out. By the time we get to Hazmat 3, we'll probably want to pick up the DE6. So realistically, we're going to need to do jobs to net us at least $500,000 just to be able to take the DE6 and Hazmat 3. And then we're going to be on to the military stuff. The military stuff is a bit of a weird one, military stuff. It's effectively an all-in thing because, quite frankly, once you start to do military, you may as well get all three. Because, you know, the cost of it alone, the copay's 300 grand on that one. Time bonus deadline comes down on that one. Time bonus comes down and it goes up another 300 grand. So this one here just boosts your copay up a huge amount. This one just brings your bonus deadline down a little bit, so you might as well have both together. And what the heck? What's 300 grand when we can have 600 grand, you know? So what we're going to do today is just get concurrent 2. So that will allow us to do any number of orders at the same time. So we're now in the realms of we don't have any restrictions on jobs. As long as we can do them, we can stack up as many as we like. Then we're going to get Hazmat 1. Which allows us to take Hazmat 1 jobs, and then finally we will take Hazmat 2, which allows us to do anything that's not Hazmat 3, and we've got $250,000 in the bank, which allows us to pay the bills. Okay, right, let's jump down to the harbour now. Actually, while I'm here, let me quickly do a recall on parts, and then we can chuck them in there, because I like to keep my shed nice and tidy. Look. So we are down a few brackets here and a few switches. All the analogs have gone now. So we could do with a couple more of those. We could probably do picking up some more solder when we can. We can get them from any shop. And I probably don't need to be carrying around any of these tools anymore that we used to upgrade the DH4 earlier. So we can basically just put these down. Yeah, okay. I've got a whole bunch of empty solder reels. So I will do some jiggering here and we'll get ourselves down to the harbour and see if we can't get ourselves a nice job. Right, so I've arrived down at the harbour. I'm just going to turn this off, save burning some fuel, and I'm going to leave it probably on this bend here, because I'm not entirely sure if we're going to be heading east or west out of the harbour. It really does depend on what jobs we get. So if you remember the harbour map, we may want to turn around at sea if we're going to head out west, or we may want to just drive straight through. So if we pull up before the junction, which is coming up for sea, this one here, we just stop here, and then we'll go and have a look at the job list and see what we want to do. Ooh, that's a lot of jobs. Okay, now, unlike previous jobs, I now don't need to throw away things like Hazmat 2, because we can actually do those, which is kind of handy. However, I'd rather not go back to the machine factory if possible. I'd rather go, well, Oil Well North is an option, but that's a logistic haul. Oil Well North is an option because it's actually near the goods factory. What you'll find is stuff that goes to Oil Well North will be empty cars. So, you know, the Oil Well will export things to the harbour, and then, of course, the empty cars need to be taken back. So, hence why we're not really going to go there today, unless we want to do it as part of a drop-off. So if we go into the goods factory and we think, oh, we'll drop some cars off there as well, we could do that, but it's not going to be a big earner. As you can see, it's only 26 grand. All right, let me have a look through these. Right, so I've had a look at them. There are a few interesting ones in there that go up to the food factory, for example, and also things like this to the farm, which would be quite nice, but the farm's not really in the direction I want to go. So there's another one, a couple of shunting jobs, you know, which you could easily do for extra money while you're here. Just grab some extra cash unloading these cars, but again, I don't want to do that. So these have caught my eye, really. These two here go to the goods factory, and one weighs 373 tons, the other weighs 246 tons. So that's what, 600 tons. That's approximately one DH4 up an incline of 2% in the dry. There's also this. Because we've now got concurrent 2, we can take as many jobs as we like. So whilst we're actually going to the goods factory in town, you know, we could go from the harbour straight that way. That's one option. But we could also just go via the steel mill and make a drop. And these go to B3I on the steel mill. And if you remember about the steel mill, B3I, there's B, will be coming in from the south, and we can just go straight into 3I, unload, run into the station, hand the jobs in, and then be on our way and be straight up to the goods factory. The goods factory jobs go to D5I and 6I, which if you have a look at the goods factory, the D yard is the main input yard here, and D5 and 6 are right next to each other. So we can either come in this way, disconnect one, reverse back, disconnect the other, or if you remember with the goods factory, you can also come in this way and then reverse back into the D yard and make your drops that way. It does kind of depend which way you're heading later and how rushed you are for time. Anyway, these are the 4 jobs that I think we should do. So in terms of the order I would want to get them handed in, I'd probably want to have this one here nearest to my locomotive. I'd probably want to have that one next, and then I'd probably take... let's see, we'll put the light one at the back. I'll probably do it that way. Now, we're super lucky with this one because these two are both go to the same input line. So it's just a case of pulling up, disconnect this lot, and we're done, which is great. So we'll probably load them in that order. Take this one first, or rather last. Then we'll take this one, and we'll basically get that one. So that's the order I'm going to get them in. This one closest to train, then this one, and then finally this one. Let's go and find them in the yard. Right, first consist. This is the valuable one at the goods factory. That is this one, FH60. That one there. So we'll get that hooked up. Lovely. That's come out of the G yard. The next one comes out of the E yard, as does the one after that and the one after that. So All I've got to do now, I did actually turn around at sea. Let me just go and turn this handbrake off. All I've got to do now is pull forward and then reverse back into E and grab the other 3 loads. So, pretty straightforward pickup. We'll then start the second DH4. And so far, it's looking like the weather's going to be great, so no problems climbing out of the harbour. I've currently got FH60 and FH28. This is FH28 here. And I'm about to attach it to FH96, which is our first of our steel mill drops. So, what I'm going to do, I'm going to make use of flags for this. So that I don't have to try and work it out later, because, you know, remember, we're going to be against the clock, and our clock times are coming down now as we're starting to lose our bonus deadlines. Oh, keep up with it. Wow, look at them. The sheer momentum is just pushing this thing away. Right, so I've got a flag. And if I'm getting out the steel mill on that side, I want to be detaching here. That will be our first disconnect. So, oh, handbrake's on the front for a change. Lovely. So, we've now got, let's see, this is the scrap containers. We've just got to pick up the scrap metal, which is in E10. What's this one then? This is this is 10, isn't it? No, this is wait a second. E10, yes, this is the E10, and we've got to go over to E1, which is the first lane. So let's head back that way. We are here on E10. I've got to go to E1, so I need to pull forward of this switch, and then go left, 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 left into 1. Cool, and then we'll start up the other engine, and we are good to go. There we go. That's the final 3 cars. Now, notice our signal at the bottom there. You can see at the back of this train now, we have 1 bar of signal, and you can see that it keeps flickering in and out. When it flickers out, you won't be able to control the train. Effectively, if you sort of put control inputs in, like this, like I'm pressing it multiple times, and it's only just moving, because when the signal cuts, if you press to do something, the train won't receive it. So what I'm saying is, we are at the limit of the wireless signal. Any longer than this, and from the back of the train, we won't be able to control it. And even now, it's pretty dodgy trying to control it. This is now the biggest train, I think, that we've taken. You can see just how long it is. It's quite long. Now, we need to work out some numbers here, because we need to put this information into our train length gadget, so that we know how long the train is. And we also need to make sure that we can haul this. I mean, it's a bit late for that, but, you know, I know we can haul the weight of it. It's just the length of it is what I'm concerned about. So if I run down here, and we do some numbers, we've got a train length of, let's call that 145 metres, and a mass of 373. We've then got a train length of 108 metres, and a mass of 246. Then we've got 271 metres and 255 for the weight, and then we've got 40 and 168. Now we know, if we look at the information page on this, we know that a DH6 here is about 77 tonnes, and it will actually say that on the side there, 74, but with fuel it's 77, so these things are fully loaded with fuel. So 77.5 tonnes, 77.5 times 2 on the calculator, if I can actually type properly, 77.5 times 2 is 155 tonnes. So if we add that now to the 373, the 246, the 255 and the 168, we get a total mass of 1,197. It's about 1,200 tonnes, which is more or less the rating for this thing. So it's got a lot of work to do here. There's no doubt about that. If we then add up the length of it, so the length of it is here, it's about 13 metres. So 2 of those is 26 metres, plus the 145, plus the 108, plus the 271, and finally the 40. That gives us 590 metres. let me jump into here, start this up, because we're going to need both locomotives for sure. And what we want to do is crouch down and come down to this thing and set the length of this. Now, if we spend that dial there, 600, and that would be 590, so that's an accurate length right there. And the way this works is, when you pass something that you want to know when the back of the train's past it, you click the start, and it will start to fill this bar up, and when it reaches here, it will start beeping, and you press stop to cancel. It's quite a simple device, really, but it's an incredibly useful one when you start to deal with trains this long. Because if you pass a speed limit bend and you think, well, how do I know when the back's gone through it? How do I know when I can accelerate? That's how you know. Lovely. Let's get this job handed in, or all 4 jobs handed in, and we'll get going. Right, so I'm going to start handing them in backwards order, because we'll be handing this one in first, so it makes sense to get the valuable seconds out of it. So we'll grab that one first. Then we'll grab this one. Then we'll grab this one. And finally this one. And we will then put it into forward. And we will start moving the train. There's a lot of weight here. We need to get in the locomotive quickly. And we're going to have to try and build our speed up rapidly. Whoops. Over-egged the omelette. Now, we can rely on our anti-wheel slip here if you want to. You can hear it sanding. Can you hear that? It's automatically deploying the sand because we started to get some wheel slip, which does make it interesting because it means you don't need to control the sand anymore if you don't want to. You can just let it do the wonderful thing that it does. Now, while we're trying to build up some speed, let's work out where we're going. We're going to the steel mill, so we know this journey quite well. Turn right out of here, followed by a left, then a right, and a right again, and a right again into the steel mill. After that, we want to go right into the goods factory. That's our macro stages set up, if you like. Let's focus on this hill, and once we've got up this hill, we'll start to look at the actual switching to get us into the steel mill and the goods factory. So 40 limit round this bend, but quite frankly, we want to try and push it to 45 if we can. We have got overheat protection. Momentum is absolutely key to get us up this hill. We want as much momentum as we can possibly get away with around this bend without derailing ourselves, because we're going to need it. The top of this train is going to be turning that corner up there as the back of it's still back down here. This train is long enough that that will happen. Now, I want to hold it at 45. Okay, the overheat's cutting in now. I'm just going to back it off slightly because that's fast enough. I do not want to go any quicker than that. And the back of the train's down there somewhere. Okay, just slow it down a touch. That's as fast as we want to go right there. Now we'll start to decelerate now. There we go, as we hit the incline. And this is where what they would say in SpaceX for max Q, that's basically what we've got here. Max S, maximum stress. Maximum stress on the engine. Like, this is the most we're going to demand from it right here in this journey. And with a bit of luck, we've got enough momentum to make this grade, because it is a bit more than 2% this grade. It's a bit of a pain. Overheat's kicking in. 2.4% there, luck. Generally speaking, if you get the nose of your train up here and you're doing at least 20, you should be good. Because the whole back of that's got to come through. Can we even see the back of it? There it is, right down there. Overheat is doing its job. It's quite useful. You can do this manually, obviously, but it just takes away that little bit of extra load, you know. Okay, we're doing 28 and we're rounding the corner. I think we're good. Just keep the power on. That's all you got to do, just keep that power on. There's still a whole lot of weight hanging down that hill. Until you start to see that speed go up, you've got to keep the power down. Anyway, we've made it. So while we're doing that, we're going to start looking at our first drop. And if I remember, they were both going into B3I. Yeah, B3I and B3I. So what we'll do now is we'll bring up the steel mill, and we're coming in from the south here, and we're going to be going right, 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 left into B3I all the way through. We want the flag to be about here, and then we'll disconnect, recover our flag, go and hand that in, and off we go. We're still only doing 26. Just going to back the throttle off just a notch, give the engine a chance to recover. And then we've got the other two, and the other two, one goes into D5I and one goes into D6I. So we're going to be doing 5 initially, and then 6, because that's the order we've got them stored on the back of the train. So 5 is going to be our first port of call up at the goods factory. So how do we want to do this? Well, I think we probably want to reverse it in, just because I got a feeling I want to go out this way and go to the oil well and see if we can get some nice hazardous oil or something fun to take on our next journey. So we'll come through B, and we'll hang a right through B, and we'll drop down this way, and then we'll reverse back into D. So at the B yard, we want to be going straight through, and at D, we want to set it up for 5I. So for the B yard, we'll go straight through the load line, and in the D yard, we're going to be coming in, keeping right, right again, and then left into D, because this is the north, so we're reversing from this side. So right, right, left. That will take us into 5I. We'll then pull forward and reverse. We'll set that. We'll pull forward and then reverse back into 6I. That is us set up. We've just got to basically keep momentum now up this slog of a hill. It's a bit of a windy track. Like I say, this is the worst part of the journey, really. That initial hill, this climb here, out the harbour. As you come through that triangle, it's quite a bit of work through here, and then it starts to back off, and then you're away at that point. We're struggling a little bit. We just got to try and keep the power down. The important thing is not to lose momentum. The worst thing that can happen to you right now, you grind to a halt, because trying to hill start this, good luck. You can see we are starting to pick up speed now, so we're over the worst of it. But we're pretty much at the limit of what 2 DH4s can do out of the harbour. Any more cars or any more weight on the back, and things may not have worked out so well. Okay, so at the moment we're on a 40 limit around this bend, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start our distance tracker here, so that I know when the back of the train has passed that bend, basically, because this bit of track has a higher speed limit. So I want to know when I can get some power down and pick up some speed if possible. A bit of a gentle climb coming up, but there's potential to get our speed up. So you can see what the distance tracker's doing. As I said, it's basically counting towards the back of the train. It does it by taking into account the speed that you're going, effectively. It's quite a simple device, but incredibly useful. The speed limit is 35, so as long as you don't go past 40 or so, or 45, we'll be absolutely fine. Temperature is building back up again as I'm throttling in. So you can see just how long it's taking. 600 meters takes a while. And that is the back of the train now clear through that junction, so now it'll start to beep at you, and it'll keep nagging you until you basically click stop. And that's how that works. And it was not something that I used for a while in Derail Valley, but same as the Switch, really. I didn't really see the massive value in it, but once I started using it, I just thought that I've got to have that. I've got to have that. So in the stock trains, I tend to stick things in with duct tape, and then when we get our own locomotive like this one, I drill them in. I permanently mount them in because they're just incredibly useful. So we're now approaching the part of the track where we're coming down this section here, and we've got this right turn and a drop down to the steel mill. Now, there is a speed limit on that turn of about 50, I think, so I'm going to have to shave a bit of speed off. But what you've got to bear in mind now is we've got a lot more momentum. Like, there's 1,200 tons here. and it takes time to slow down. And when it goes down that slope towards the steel mill, bearing in mind that we're making it a stop at the steel mill, which means we're going to have to switch points into the steel mill, we really do have to be careful with momentum down here. So by the time we get to the bottom of the slope into the steel mill, we want to be doing about 25-30-ish. We're not much more than that, so that we don't derail at any of the points. We've got plenty of time. We've made good pace. But what I'll do is I'll use the dynamic brake to take the edge off the speed now as we start to build up. But we'll very quickly see we'll need brake. There's no way the dynamic brake can hold all this back. Just notice that mountain there's got like a flat top on it. How strange. There's the farm. So in the valley on a clear day, you really can see. Look, there's Allwell Central over there. There's the farm over there. We'll get plenty of hazmat jobs from Allwell Central. It's one of those things now, well, when we're coming back from the machine factory to the harbour, we can stop at Allwell Central now and potentially get some really good paying stuff to take down to the harbour. Okay, so I'm going to bring in the dynamic brake. That's going to start to generate a lot of heat. We'll see what we can get away with. We're holding speed at the moment. Once that temperature gets to the red, I'm going to have to back it off and use the brake. In comes the fans. Now most of this train is still not on this slope yet, but it's under control, and that's the main thing. Okay, minus 1.8, so this is where the gradient really kicks off. And the speed's coming in now, so we'll have one more stop of dynamic brake, and we'll start to get a couple of stops and now of the actual train brake. That's telling us we're going to the steel mill to the right, which is correct. Speed is under control. A little bit more dynamic brake. So I'm just going to start the tracker so I know when the bottom part of it, the back of our trains pass through the bottom part of that slope. Which means we won't gain any more momentum after that, but we're good. We're under control. So the reason I mount things where I do is because in this position you can now see everything that you need to see. You can see your switch setter, you can see your brake setting, you can see the distance tracker, it's all there. I'm going to back off on the brake now, just leave the dynamic on. And the points ahead are right, right, left. We're expecting B3I. And that's what we appear to be set to. The track is clear. Back of the train is through the slope, so we're now decelerating. And we're now doing the speed pretty much that we wanted to be doing. There is another device you can get that shows brake temperature, but I don't tend to find that to be massively useful. Now we're looking for that flag riff, remember. We want the flag to be pretty much down at the front end here. So in a second I'm going to have to jump out here. And let this thing just roll down the hill. So I'm going to remove all the dynamic brake now. All the green cars, so it should be after this lot, shouldn't it? Because it should look like that. It's kind of hard to distinguish them. There they are. There's the flag. So we want the flag to be before this thing here. This is looking pretty good. So the flag just saves you a little bit of time trying to work out where your cars are. It's not too bad with this consist because, you know, that car is very different to that car. But with other cars, it's not so straightforward. And you sort of end up thinking, which one do I need? And you have to start looking down the job number, etc. Okay, that should, I think... I can't remember if it needs a... Let me test this. I can't remember if we need to put a handbrake on the other job. I'm pretty sure we do. But I'm just going to verify it, so it won't let me hand that in. Yeah, there you go. So that's an invalid one, but that one should go because that's got the handbrake on it. So we get paid for that one. That's 20Ks. It just means I need to sprint down the back of this train. It's a bit annoying, but it's, you know, it's understandable. There has to be a car, at least one car, have a handbrake on every job. And this is not the same job as that one there. So the game's looking at it and saying, oh, that's interesting. That's very interesting. That is actually too long for that, isn't it? Okay, well, ordinarily, I'd pull that forward, but we're kind of against the clock, and since we're leaving this station anyway, the game will actually respawn jobs and stuff, but that is... It's very interesting, because the front of this front of this car here is pretty much at the yard limit. Like, we've only got that much space. Feels like that job's a little bit too big. Okay, it doesn't like that either. Some cars are missing, bring them in. Oh, okay, right. So it's basically saying... Yeah, it's basically saying you are going to have to pull this forward. That is not good enough, sir, is what that's saying. So we are going to have to just couple this up. Release the brakes on it. Run back down the bottom there. Take the handbrake off the car and pull it forward just a smidge. Effectively, all cars are not in 3i right now. Bit of a weird one. I've never known the job to do this before, where it's quite obviously a little bit too long. But we'll have to do it. Otherwise, we can't hand the job in. Running out of signal. Let's pull forward a little bit. We've already handed this job in, so all we've really got to do is get that one. But you'll see, I think if we get the back of this car here, in front of that board, I think you'll find that the front of the train is then hanging off the other side of this track. Okay, that's just inside the board. So hopefully it's okay with that. Very strange. I won't disconnect it, just in case I need to do this again, but I'm hopeful that this will hand in. What have I done with the job? I appear to have lost the job. I've got that one, I've got that one. I don't appear to have the job for the cars. What did I do with it? Have I just thrown it on the ground or something? What did it swallow it? Okay. I am either gone blind or I'm very confused here. I have my vehicle catalogue. The 2 orders that we've not delivered yet. No, that's the station map. These are all pinned. That should be pinned. What on earth? Did I throw it in the bin? No. What on earth is it? Okay. Alright, well, I need to watch the video again to see if I just did something really stupid. Did I actually, like, throw that in the bin or something? in my haste. I think I may have done. Let's put the car on that one. There we go. Right, anyway, that was a very strange drop-off. Well, you can see that that is... Actually, that's what I've gone wrong here. 3i starts here. I've stopped it at 2.0. That was my mistake. My mistake entirely. Operator error, as they say. I bet you guys have already posted in the comments section telling me what I just did. Yeah, that's fair. The track is long enough. Do we need bolt locomotives for this? Well, it'd give us a bit more pace, wouldn't it? Right, we've lost a bit of time here. We need to get out of here. How much weight have we got? 373. 246. Yeah, one of them could handle it. It's a little bit of a climb into the goods factory, but we'll just run 2 for now. In terms of fuel burn, we've burnt over 1/4 of a tank in this thing. Most of that fuel was spent basically climbing out the harbour, but it's to be expected with all that mass. We're now back up to 292,000. This job should pay, what's that, about 36, assuming we still get the bonus, and then about another 32, 34 for that, so not crazy money, but 4 jobs, you know, it all starts to rack up. Now, because we've removed 2 jobs off the back, I've had to recalculate the length of train, and I've calculated it to be 279, so I've set that to be 280. It's still useful, because obviously, although you can see the back of the train vaguely, there tends to be a lot of trees in Derail Valley, so it kind of blocks your vision. We're making a right turn here at 50k, so I just need to back off a little bit of speed. And then the thing is about the climb into goods factory is you need to get around this bend and then get the power on very quickly, because it is a bit of a climb up. 2 locos running is not really a problem at all, but there we go. We'll back off on the old brakes now. We'll get around this corner and then we will set the timer, and that will tell us when we can pick up speed, but we can still throttle up and keep that speed at least 50. And once the back's cleared it, we can then carry on and pick up a bit more speed. There we go. So very much shorter this time. We've already set the points up. It should be a case of reversing into 5i. Is it that one? 5i with the green cars, and then 6i with the coloured cars. Now, this is where, if you look at that, they're green, and one of them is green. So really, I should have put a flag between them as well, but it is what it is. We're just going to have to go down the length of it and look for a set of green cars, and then there will be a break to the next job. Once we do arrive in the goods factory, we will turn off the second DH4. We won't need it anymore for hauling, so may as well save some fuel on that. And there are a couple of items I do want to get from the goods factory shop. So once we have made the drop, we'll be looking to pick up a clinometer and the clock. We may need a few more brackets, and we'll definitely need more solder. I do like to keep a little array of brackets, as I've said before, just to keep the options. A bit more speed needed. Hopefully... Oh, it's backing off. Look at that. It's backed us off. There we go. We've got 50 limits all the way through here. So there's the station there, and then the shop is hidden down there. We've been to it before. It's behind a Volkswagen Beetle, if I remember. There it is. Right behind that yellow Beetle. Okay, while we're driving through here, I'm just going to quickly jump into here and turn that off. Now this is one of the spawn areas for locomotives. I haven't got any on my playthrough, but you can get it on yours. Now there's a 30 limit here, so we just need to slow it down. A little bit too quick through that junction. Yeah, you want 30 k's around that bend. It's gone this side, it'll be a bit easier. Just watch the signal on that, just make sure that you don't run out of signal. Okay, that's the one we want. You can hear the loco, it's over there somewhere. There it is. Okay, what have we got? 5i, 6i, look empty. There's something in 7.0, which is the output line, which makes sense. Yeah, you can get locos there. I've had a D6 there before. I've had a 282 spawn there before. And you'll often get working locos over here, not museum ones. You'll often get a DM3, I think, here as well. Yeah, we'll go into 5i, that's fine. So, we're looking for... What's the job number? FH28, and it's 6 cars. So, what we can do... Just count 6 cars. I'll make that 3 so far. And we need to get them inside this board here, assuming I've picked the right board this time. That should do us, and that should be an FH28. It is, and that should be 60. Perfect. So if we get the brake on that, get this thing detached. We only need to go forward as far as that thing. The 6i is our next drop. And this has got, what, 8? So all in all, I think it's been a fairly worthwhile job. Basically, we've managed to take 4 jobs at once, which is something we've not done before. We've got to use the distance tracker quite effectively. We've pushed 2 DH4s to their absolute limits out of the harbour. And we've got ourselves to the goods factory so we can pick up some more parts. And we got paid to do all of it. So, say that, it's a good day in the office. Right, 6i board is set right back here. That should push us back over the 300k bracket. Of course, we do have 2 DH4 locos, which will need servicing and repairs and stuff, but they're probably both down to 3/4 of a tank. There is a service station over here, so we could get them refueled. But we'll have to see where we're going. I don't think it's worth it. As long as where we're going has a station, we'll be fine. We'll take a view on that when we know what we're doing next. Okay. That should be fine right there. Get the brake on. Brake on that one as well, and we'll quickly sprint. I'm gonna have to start using the clock soon, the little stopwatch, because as we start to lose bonus deadline time and we start to take multiple jobs on, time does become a real factor. And you do have to start tracking it. What's that one? 23 grand? And 37 grand. For a grand total now of 352. Now, if you look at your fees, maybe you're slightly confused and you say, hang on a minute, we've got 2 DH4s. We have. But only one of them is listed here because only the one that is a stock railroad company one, which is 88, the other one is ours, and therefore it never appears here. And the interesting side effect of that is that the other one, the museum one, will never affect your ability to take licenses. So if we was driving around in just the museum locomotive, this would all be clear, because this is covered by copay and the museum one isn't. What is the time? 4:10. Okay, so nice weather. Oh my god, rain at 3 a.m. Anyway, we've done enough for this episode, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Please give me a thumbs up if you did. Take care, guys. Happy training.